Oh, yeah, that makes sense right away how I'm feeling anyway. It was a crazy week and weekend. So the week last week leading up to the weekend was literally I'd say a shit show for like emotionally, like energetically in my world, you guys. So let me know in the comments how you're, and I hope it was, I'm not saying, I'm hoping everybody had a way better week and weekend than I did. But I'm just saying it was wild. It was a wild ride. But I feel a lot calmer today, thank goodness. And I'm hoping everybody got to a calm place if they had a weekend like that. Not even sure, was it astrological? Was it, like just some building tension in my own life? I don't know. But yeah, just crazy times. Almost like people right next to you, like energetically, like people like in the same room, even not being on the same timeline, and I don't even know if that's how it works, but just not even being in the same reality that you're seeing. Like just wild times, and we're living those times. Like that happens on the daily anyway, but this last week and weekend just went off the charts with that kind of stuff. Okay, so we've got the Queen of Cups. So that card, a little bit immersed in an emotional process. Okay, so today a little bit immersed. That's certainly how I'm feeling, and I'm not sure if anyone else is feeling that way, but this card's about the collective here that are watching, so I'm assuming some other people also are feeling that way. Okay, and this card here is about endings. So likely some endings have happened, which might have brought up a lot of emotions. I mean, the whole world, we're ending, how we see things. We're ending our attachments to things, to anything officialdom, our attachments to big pharma, our attachments to the way we were told things were, history, everything, religion. If you have attachments in the world the way it's been created, it's going to be a real letting go time, and has been. Okay, and that could be why this card, but there could also be personal people and things and situations that we're all collectively letting go of, because this card is where you see through the facade ends, and it looks like it creates some feels, right? And they could be happy feels, because it does look like whatever's ending in the end of things. And then with the world in the background, a lot of these things had already ended. We just didn't know it, and now we're catching up to what's actually not even available anymore. Okay, that's kind of been what's been going on for a few years in politics, for a few years in the world stage, what we think's going on, say in the Middle East or this place or that in the world. Actually, a lot of it's already happened. Like, it's wild, and then we're revisiting it, or it's been revisited in some kind of a theater production put on by the White Hat Alliance. Like, it's insane, and it's consistent in the cards that's been going on. So that gets a little bit tricky, because like it's hard to know that you're sitting in reality when all of that's going on. It's really hard sometimes to get your footing. Okay, in the middle, we've got the Six of Wands, which it is for the good of humanity, these endings and the letting go. And we're just in that transition where, and of course we got the Death card right here, which is a transition card. So the painful transition of going to the new reality. Okay, so we're in that hallway, the dark night of the soul, and we're going to come out, see where the sun shines again, in the new reality, but we don't see it yet. Okay. So these are all major arcana cards, many of them, like 4 major arcana cards in a small spread like this. That's wild. Okay, and they're big, heavy hitters. Excuse me, hang on. Excuse me. Yeah, big heavy hitter cards. And for these all across the bottom to be present, even though we're talking about a day, so today, these could all be just overriding energies we're all feeling collectively. Okay, because these heavy hitters usually take a year to work through. So we'll be feeling them heavily, but they won't entirely be completed here today, right? So yeah, because the outcome is just the realization that we've let go of something for good and we're moving in an entirely different direction on every level. Okay, spiritually in particular with these two cards, either side of this death card. Okay, and really, really your best bet to get through today and really come out in a good place for yourself is to connect spiritually. Have some kind of a practice that grounds and connects you spiritually. It's a really good ritual day, like a personal ritual day. And for some people, that's just having a bath with a good salt scrub, or somebody else's, everybody's got a different way to do that. Somebody else is walking barefoot or spending time barefoot on ground, but I mean, weather doesn't always permit. Things are getting cold in parts of the world, so that might not be available to you, but there's ways to do it where you're grounding, even touching a tree, right? Just connecting, petting your animals and pets with intention of connecting, and spending time in nature in different ways. Even if it's just getting some sunlight on your face, like if you don't have like a big nature area to go to, even if you're living in the city, get yourself facing some sunlight if there's any sunlight out there. You know what I'm saying? Breathe in some air. Hopefully you've got good clean air to breathe in. And if you don't, visualize that you do, right? You're going to use your imagination and start intending and visualizing. Right? That's really powerful too, by the way. Imagine the perfect quiet place if you don't have one readily available to you. Imagine being there and imagine your bare feet in soil. That'll really help too. Water, sometimes getting in water bodies, so streams, creeks, lakes, ocean, right? Get your feet in some water, even if it's cold. That can actually feel really good. Yeah, spiritual work today is on the agenda, it looks like, and it's the way you're going to get through the day in the best way possible. So there's a lot of awarenesses of what's ending and a real palpable understanding that a lot of things will never be the same again going forward. That's sort of the flavor of the day. I'll call it a flavor of the day. All right, let's look at the 7th now. So October 7th, lots of great Librans having birthdays. Happy birthday to all the Librans out there. I know lots of them. So October 7th, that would be Tuesday, tomorrow. 2025, let's see what we got. Wow, the Magician. So some theater playing itself out, or some kind of noticing something in the news that's really obviously theater is one way I could put that. There's been a lot of that lately, actually. Like there's been some really obvious pictures of, for instance, Netanyahu. I hope I said his name right there. Maybe I don't care if I said his name right. That fake person playing that role of that brand. Okay, wearing a mask with an obvious, like, just like, yeah, like you could like go and lift up, like really weird, right? Not just like the lines on someone's neck when they're older. Like, look, I got some lines on the neck, but I mean, this was like curling up at the bottom, a picture of a guy badly wearing a mask. And I feel like they're doing that on purpose, to show people that these people are not who you think they are. Okay, there's been a lot of circulated pictures side by side, people that are obviously not the same person they were, 5, 6 and 7 years ago. And that includes like people mostly in the news right now. Anybody famous, you got to look twice. Are you looking at the original? Anybody really high up in politics, it's almost always a double, and or who knows, clones. Like lots of people think there's clones running around too, right? I more get doubles, but I don't say there isn't clones. Oh my goodness. Okay, so yeah, some really big news drop of some kind. Some really big news drop and news about monies and or new monies, so a new financial system, or at least news, something signaling that. Okay, and coming out of, so a bit of theater shows itself to be just that, theater. I feel like, yeah, some real obvious situation here where you get something in the news, because it looks like it's fairly widely available to people here. Even normies look like they're going to, get this, whether they figure it out or not, what they're seeing, who knows, right? But it's clarity for everybody, not just us, right? And it does look like it has something to do with something very tangible, because something about health and things that were done to our health, but also something coming financially. So some kind of news about a financial sort of something new and financial. So maybe a new money system, okay, or something heading us in a new direction financially. So that's absolutely fascinating, and we've been seeing it for years and years that this is coming. So I feel like something pretty substantial to get two aces around it. Okay, some substantial news about finances. And this could even have something to do with silver prices. Like if silver actually hits $50 an ounce, they say that'll really shake things up in the financial. So something's definitely going to shake things up in the financial and create the need for, or a big news drop about it. Okay. So that's our Tuesday, the 7th. So keep an eye on that. There's a lot of things financially that, would get our attention. October 8th. Now we're looking at Wednesday, October 8th. Let's see what we got here. Wow. 2 justice cards. This guy can be our lawyer, but he can also be about news. He can be news. He can be a newscaster, but he would be, if he was more the old school type that was, I don't even know if there ever was ones actually telling the truth, but this would be I'm sure some of them were trying to do a good job and actually reporting things they were seeing out in the world. So it would be one of those kind of peoples, and, or someone calling somebody out on their integrity, so demanding integrity or demanding truth. Okay, and then the justice card. Okay, so news of an arrest, or an arrest literally, or somebody being called out and signaled that they're going to be arrested or called to justice on some level. Okay, and it feels like a White Hat Alliance type justice here, so not maybe necessarily sort of with the justice system the way it's set up in the US, for instance, and I think in all the countries. I think it's pretty obvious that that's a system that needs to come down, because it's really not been functioning properly. But this looks like something happens in the world of justice, and someone is called to justice, or we're being told they will be facing justice. So maybe a big announcement of somebody who's going to be called to justice, like, what do they call those, subpoenas or something. Okay, so here we've got the Ace of Cups here and the Empress. So that's interesting. I wonder if it's a woman. Okay, so that's interesting. Or it's a woman calling somebody to justice. I wonder, Pam Bondi. I mean, she really hasn't been doing too much. I don't know about that. But anyway, there's a woman involved, might be doing the calling. And then it looks like a man, maybe the one called to justice. Okay, because now we've got that King of Cups. So somebody's shown to be really tricky. Like this guy's can be really tricky. Okay. He can cover up a big cover up gets revealed, it looks like. And then there's signaling that it's going to be called to justice. But that could be so many things. Okay. And that's been happening daily. So that's not the biggest kind of news, because literally that's been happening daily. Just look on X and Telegram. It's already happening. Okay, let's look at Thursday. Whoop. This card came up again, so let's hope that's an arrest on Wednesday. Man, that would be, I would welcome that so much, and I'm sure everybody watching would too. Let's look at Thursday, the 9th, October 9th. 9 on 9. Okay, so the 9th in the 9th month. Oh, no, wait a sec. No, September's the 9th. October's the 10th month. Okay, let's have a look. 10th month, 9th day. What do we got? So we've got the Hanged Man there, which is about being placed in a difficult position or feeling like you're in a difficult position. Often you choose that difficult position when this comes up, especially archetypally, the way it is and where it's sitting. Okay, so choosing a difficult position and knowing it'll be hard because you're going to be enlightened. And then here, so a little reprieve on our difficult, because this is a very difficult card too, a little reprieve on our difficult. So all of us watching here and kind of in this community, we call the truther community. I don't know, not everyone will call themselves a truther, but you're watching one. I call myself a truther for sure. Okay, so we're in this community together, even if we're fringe on it and just dip into it every once in a while. But in a way, it's put us all in a difficult position because we know a lot more than regular folks, okay? I find sometimes that's difficult. Like I was at we call it a baby shower last night. I was at my house and invited a bunch of people over. My niece having a baby. My niece is having a baby. And she's the one that got married. Yeah. Anyway, just got married in August. But anyway, she's having a baby. And we had a shower, which is like a welcoming ahead of time of baby and just giving her some things she might need for the baby coming in, etc. Right? Now, interesting that I couldn't talk about any of the things I know to almost anybody at the thing. My niece herself, yes, when we're alone together, we can talk about it. And her partner, thank goodness, is also quite aware of things. But there was a lot of people there, let's just say, that it wouldn't have been okay to bring up politics, of course, and or what's going on in the world. And that can feel really difficult. We can feel really isolated. We can feel like we don't have the freedom to just talk about, like I would have loved to talk with all those people about what's coming in the world, how changes are coming and how we're going to deal with them. Like it's my tribe and these are all people I love and care about, but really they're just not in that place. They don't see that there's a war going on, almost any of them. Maybe two of them did, would know to think like that, right? So that's the difficult position that feels like. And I feel like there could be something that really helps. Yeah, something's breaking through to the normie population, and that feels like it's kind of moving from the day before we just looked at. So there's something that happened and it might have started the day before and more comes out about it. That's kind of the way it feels. And it really pushes the boundaries of the people not in the know won't be able to say they're not in the know. This really feels like, and it's just a little bit at first, but it's coming very directly to everybody. So it's information or knowing. and it feels like it's hard to avoid, and this community will feel good about it because it's something really obvious. And that's been happening a lot with things Trump's been saying, actually. First of all, when he was with that meeting with the generals, which probably really wasn't what it appeared, right? A lot of that was CGI of all those generals. But he might have met with like 10 or so of them. And I feel like nothing was really going down the way they showed you that it was. There was, I'm sure, meetings in the background that were really happening. But anyway, he did say that he was, like, publicly in a little clip, you could hear him say he was 45, he was 46 and 47. Then went on to say he didn't want to really admit to or take any credit for what happened in 46. I mean, you know, because they were playing the puppet, the fake Biden puppet. But I mean, he alluded to that, and he, as clear as a bell, said, I was 45, 46, and 47. So things like that are what we're getting here. Something like that makes it really hard to not know. And this community will feel really good about what's said. Okay, so that's good to know. Let's look at the 10th now. October 10th, 10/10. Cool. Let's have a look. Now, I'm kind of lost track. Coco, maybe you'll be able to. Is this Friday or is this Thursday? I've lost track what day the 10th would be.
The 10th is Friday.
Yeah, good. Okay, Friday the 10th. Let's have a look. Okay. A big ace. Look at that. So financial changes, big movements in the world of finance, big information drops in the world of finance. And a real clear indication that certain governments are working together. Like for a really long time there, we didn't know that Russia, so Putin, was actually working with the White Hats. I thought it fairly early on, but a lot of people didn't recognize that for maybe the first year or two into the pandemic. And then it became really obvious, and Jean-Claude and I were like, whoa, these guys are working together. It looked like China. So one of the leaders in China, not obviously the communist leader, but the other fellow, I forget his name now. I think you say his name like Xi. But anyway, that guy was working with Trump, and he was also a white hat. Like, there's all of these people working with Trump. Like, even Carney, when I did a reading on it, is a fake, of course, and a puppet, and basically showing the brand of Carney doing the walk of shame. But at the same time, every once in a while will signal and align with what Trump's doing, very surprisingly, and get out of Trump's way when he's doing a big move. So it's kind of weird, right? Meanwhile, the whole time looking like he's leading Canada into the WEF. Absolutely, right? And a really badly, bad way. And it looks terrible, and the UK looks just horrifying right now in lots of places, Germany, just terrible things. But that is not really the case in what's actually happening. I feel like in the background, other things are happening, and these groups are working together, and there's other people leading them that just aren't showing themselves. And in particular, the White Hat Alliance and people placed by White Hat Alliance and what we call the Trump brand. So this card reading says we're going to have some real obvious indication here of a group working together. Maybe we even spot somebody we hadn't thought of before that's obviously in alignment, right, with the Trump team. So yeah, it feels like a big reveal month. That's the main theme of these days that I'm getting here, is reveals. Okay, now we've got that so an alliance of two people that make it really obvious they've been working together all along, even though it wouldn't have looked like it from the outside. So and it does feel again like maybe some good news, and we're less worried here in this community because we're like, wait, those two have been working together all along. So yeah. All right, let's look at the 11th now. So that was Friday. Now we're looking at October 11th. We're going to go right up to the 12th. So we'll do this one and the 12th. So this is Saturday, the 11th of October. Couple of twos. Okay, that's interesting. Twos are tricky. And these two twos in particular, actually, this one's about all of a sudden a halting of like something we thought was going ahead looks like it stops. Okay, well, that could be good actually, because the something gets stopped. We'll have to see what's below that, because there's a lot of things out there appearing like they're about to get pushed through in our fraudulent governments without proper channels or going through the, jumping the proper hoops. Not that they've ever really probably done anything proper. They just made us think they did. Yeah, something gets stepped back and reversed that looked like it was going to be a problem. I'm hoping that's the digital ID. It certainly meets up something meets up with something that was going to be a push through agenda. Looks like it really meets up with some controversy and gets halted. And that could, sorry, we got a little bit of a lag there. That could be something to do with the woke agenda stuff too in schools. And in so many ways, that could prove itself. Like this could be talking about so many different things, but that's good news. So actually a lot of good reveals coming. And this doesn't look any different here. The 11th looks like it provides a great reveal, and it feels like the halt has something to do with, I feel like a grab of some kind by a politician grabbing. So what do they grab? More power, grabbing more, like just the fake politicians. They're not real anyway, but they're grabbing what appears to be grabbing all of our freedoms, really. And just right in front of us too. It's so obvious that if we didn't know, if Q hadn't come along and tipped us off about this stuff, and we say we didn't know this was like, those were psyops that are happening, we'd be in really tough shape. And if they really aren't, like, we're in really tough shape. Like, yeah, but my heart feels like the cards have been so consistent with it that I feel like, no, we're gonna come out of this and it'll be shown to us. And it looks like it's really starting in a big way in October to really show it. The true colors are really showing here. All right, now there's the 12th. So the Sunday, October 12th. Ending being put on hold. Remember, this was at the beginning and this was reversed. So we were feeling like we're on hold and waiting for something to end. Now something ends. So this could even be a continuation of from that day. So look back in the video and have a look at what day was that. Okay, because I feel like this sort of loops back over to some kind of information that finally gets, like, it's like a cat out of a bag. It looks like the whole week's like that, where we're getting some really big intel, and it's ending our painful position of, putting ourselves in a position of never being able to speak about these things in public gatherings for the most part. And just looking like the odd people out and the ones out of sync, and a smaller group of us. I feel like pretty soon, even in October, we'll see our numbers grow. And eventually, there's going to be more people thinking like truthers than there are normies. That's what I really feel like we're moving in that direction. And that's a good thing. Yeah. Yeah. Now, this is interesting here. We've got the Four of Pentacles. So maybe some advice around, I'm getting it as advice. I feel like we're getting really close in October to that, some banks doing some monkey business, and we've seen them do it in other countries already, where they close and or take some of your funds and bail in. Look up that term because they're allowed to do that in the North America now. Okay, they've covered their butts, and that's likely because they knew this was coming. And the price of gold and silver are really indicating, in particular silver, that this is really like on our doorstep here. So I feel like really take care to make sure you got your ducks in a row in any way you can for possible lockdown, shutdown, and some days where we might not be able to get to our bank accounts, or where the money doesn't seem like it's in there anymore, or the bank closes and all of a sudden there's no place to get the money from, stuff like that. Really make sure you've got some ways around that, get some cash on hand. Even if that doesn't turn out to be the case, better safe than sorry is what I'd say, right? Just err on the side of caution, I'd say, with these kind of cards looking like this. Okay, so here we got the Hierophant and the High Priestess. So really big secret revealed as well here. So the whole week looks like big information drops, in particular around finances and the way finances have been handled, what's been done with our money by our own governments. And also it looked like there a couple days in, some big possible arrest or news of an arrest or explanation or description of why somebody will be arrested in the near future. So that's all of that's, as far as I'm concerned, all of that's good. We're moving in the right direction. We're moving in the right direction. Always looming in the background. Crazy. Right? Two financial kind of cards. Well, this one in particular turns this one. This is a patience and perseverance kind of card, but it turns this one into that. So something we've been waiting for a really long time around finances, or something building around finances. So that's interesting, right? And then we've got the Seven of Wands in the middle. So people will not see what's actually the shutdown's about something. It looks more financial, or they're preparing something financially. But what the people will see will not be that. Okay? It'll be different for what regular folks witness. Okay, so whatever really does happen during the shutdown looks like it doesn't look like an arrest to me, which is very unfortunate, but I'm not seeing a mass arrest or even one arrest during the shutdown. Okay, it may be that Trump turns the shutdown around. I don't think it stays shut down for very long. I'll say that. Also, I think there's secret things going on, but they're not necessarily being played out in public. So the shutdown's important to the war and important to something they're doing with the financial system, but not necessarily, it's almost like buying them some time or cover for some other things they're doing, but it's not necessarily going to equal EBS and lockdowns, good ones, good lockdowns. And, the kind we've all been waiting for, or arrests, public arrests, or all of the above. It's not looking like it's leading to that directly. Okay, it's more like things are happening on the sly here while using the cover of the lockdown. Okay, and then the things that have been building financially or something around the financial market looks the main focus, but I think there's more things going on in the background as well. Yeah, and it does look like Trump will step in maybe within a week or within the first week of, and very soon into the shutdown, government shutdown, and he gets everybody working again. So I don't think the shutdown will last that long. Okay, so then here we've got the 6, so that in the past in the background. So it looks like this was all planned and everyone's agreed to how it's meant to appear. So even the Democrats that look like they're shutting down the government, they're capitulated, and this has all been agreed upon. Okay, so wow, just wild. It's like, oh, this thing's really drawn itself out here. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, right? Are the Commonwealth countries, UK, Canada, Australia, and there's so many, like the Commonwealth map is huge. So I could go on and on. Yeah, exactly. I could go on and on talking about it. Are the Commonwealth countries under the legal protection of Donald J. Trump, Commander-in-Chief, as Daryl? You guys remember Daryl? And he was on the Truther Tour. I met him in person, kind of a big old cowboy. And he does, is it Daryl? Darren. I think it's Darren. Anyway, he does a lot of decoding what's going on military-wise and all the comms military-wise. And he's been, truthing for a really long time, right from the beginning, just like myself and Jean-Claude, right from the lockdowns beginning. And he's been sort of singing the same tune. It's like he's the one that goes through all the military signaling and tells us exactly what Trump's up to with it. Anyway, this is coming from his information, which says that Donald J. Trump, Commander-in-Chief of the White Hat military, is in fact got our backs, all of these Commonwealth countries' backs. Is that true? Man, this thing just doesn't want to. Okay. So we've got the 8 of Swords, which is like kind of a knowing but not admitting card. So this card knows something, but mentally, verbally won't admit it even to themselves. So that's kind of a weird card. And that is kind of how... So that kind of information is something we've known for a really long time, but it's not out in the open. So it might just mean that. So it's a known thing, but nobody's sort of officially admitting it yet. So I'm thinking we got a yes. And then here we've got the King of Pentacles, which is financial. So that's weird again, but it's also about generosity. It can be about generosity and somebody really able financially or really able to manifest. This guy's a master manifester. Okay, so we asked, is he, the commander-in-chief, and going to be protecting all these countries? We got a big old yes under that. So this is about generosity, and so this would be kind of a protective energy. So it's a yes, but it looks like it's still not going to be revealed. For some reason, it's not something they want the whole world to know about just yet. I feel like we can know about that, but even the universe looks hesitant to yell from the rooftops that that's the case. Okay, so it's meant to be still undercover that that's the case. But yes, I think it is the case. Now we've got the death. There's a bunch of things that have to collapse first before it can be known to the public. Because if they don't collapse first, I don't know. I think it won't go good. I think they'll think Donald Trump is trying to take over the world, but not for a good reason. They'll think he's one of the bad guys. And a lot of people already think that. And I feel like the reason they have to let these things play themselves out is so a lot of people finally realize who the real enemy is. Otherwise, they're going to just blame Trump. If he stepped up and said, okay, I got all your back, but that makes me the commander in chief, they'd call him a fascist one world government leader or something. I feel like it would be misunderstood. So it's a yes, but it's not necessarily meant to be known in the public eye. Yes, but let's keep quiet about it. That's what that felt like. Okay, so now we've got Poland. Somebody wanted to know, is Poland headed for revolution? And there was also a question about Switzerland, which I know just voted in the ID, or so it appears. I mean, that vote could have been totally fraudulently achieved, right? 51% for digital ID. Either there's so many NPCs there you can't even fathom, or they're just insane, okay? Or in fact, they were it was a fake elected thing. They could have faked how many people said yes to it. I mean, they can do that, right? Remember. Okay, so don't get too disappointed, but we're not going to talk about Switzerland or Denmark today. I'm going to save that for the next world news, okay? Because I think that'll take a little more time than just a real quick look. But we're going to look at Poland. The question was, are they headed for revolution? Okay, so let's have a look. So is it about to explode in Poland? It's interesting because Poland, the good thing about it, or at least what we're hearing, is that the government is not allowing the illegal immigrants in. Now, is that still the case if you're from Poland? Because, yeah, that we've been seeing that even in the alternative news, and I hope that's true. And they're putting their foot down and making better boundaries with all of the influx of the whole rest of Eastern and in the entirety of Europe is being flooded with illegal people coming in illegally and not vetted in any way. And in fact, probably with no paperwork and being absolutely supported in these countries. It makes no sense. They're not people that will do any good for the country. In fact, they've proven to be like the criminal element, which Trump warned us about. He said they're not sending us their best. I mean, that was for who was coming into the US, but seems to be true all over the world. Okay, so we're asking, Poland headed for a revolution. Let's have a look. Now, I haven't been following the Polish news, so you might want to talk about it a little more at length in the comments and leave some links too, why you even asked that and what's going on in Poland that we should know about, right? If you're from somewhere that isn't regularly on North American news, I'm going to ask you to share links and get us up to speed if you can, or feel, you want to do that. That would be really helpful for the rest of us, because we're not seeing it even on social media, right? We're not seeing what you're seeing on social media. Okay. Now we've got the moon and the page of wands. So that's interesting. The moon and then the chariot in the background. So the moon and the page of wands. Well, the moon is a big theater card, can be even bigger theater than the magician. It can be smoke and mirrors that's so thick. I feel like whatever's really going on is nothing like it's presenting itself. The government's not really who you think it is, who's governing it. I feel like we got a capitulated government there too, but nothing you see happening there looks real with that moon there. I don't really get that it's headed for revolution. That would be, this card here would have to be either this, or this would mean it'll appear that it is, which this was over here. Down the road though, and countries around Poland might start looking like revolution, but Poland looks like it doesn't go there, at least not for now. So I'm going to say no to that. Wow. All right. Meeting with the generals. So we looked at this on the Monday World News, that Trump was meeting with all these generals, but then he did meet with the generals. I think it was yesterday. And he had these long conversations with the generals. And the first thing he basically said was, you know, he'd laid out a bunch of things that, and if you don't like it, walk, basically. Like, he really put some big boundaries right away. So I feel like some of those generals, some of those generals were taking liberties and or not really fully on board with Trump cleaning the swamp, or the Trump brand and the white hat military slash alliance. I feel like some of those people in that room, if it was the real, like, I feel like some of the shots or the photos of what appears to be all these generals, they were too crammed together, and I think it was AI. I don't believe that picture. But anyway, so, you know, what he was doing there looks like he was clearing up a bunch of things, like really talking about woke stuff, right? So woke agenda has no place. Him and his buddy there, Hegzith, I can never say that guy's name. Anyway, that guy in the picture there, they both made it really clear, Trump and this guy here, his muscle, I call him his war guy muscle. Okay, they made it really clear that if these guys aren't on board with their agenda that's coming up, basically they're out. Okay, and what I was getting with Jean-Claude, we deep dived on this yesterday on the IAP. So we did the IAP, the Monday nights one. We did it last night, which was Tuesday. Anyway, so if you didn't buy that episode, or you're not an IAP member, you wouldn't have seen it. So I just want to tell you what I got there. What I got was that the real reason for the meeting was that he's taking the temperature of these guys and seeing who's on board and who isn't for an upcoming potential situation. It's not 100% sure it'll happen, but they are worried about it happening. And it looks like it's going to cause huge flooding. And it could be, we weren't 100% sure, but because of what 3A Atlas is doing, 3I Atlas is doing, it could be some meteorites hitting the Earth caused by 3I Atlas. Which could create, like, if a huge meteorite the size of a city or bigger hits, or space debris hits a big body of water, like, you could have massive flooding. And we have been told about flooding for a really long time, and the cards kept showing that a lot of flooding could be something they're worried about. But there's a mass potential death event they know about that's coming. Now, we've seen so many clues about that. We've heard lots of psychics talk about flooding all on the west coast of North America and various different places, that there's going to be flooding. We haven't seen that. We've seen flooding, but not to the degree that some of these seers and distance viewers and people have seen. Right? We haven't seen that yet. Certainly not in New York, like they've been talking about, and West Coast in California, Vancouver, and stuff like that. We've been hearing that for a really long time. And it looks like there could be some potential threat that these guys, the White Hat Alliance, know about. Okay. And they need these generals to help them. So they need all of these people and these army personnel to be on board to keep people safe. Okay, that's what it actually looked like, what was really going on. Okay, so now we're just going to ask, was there anything else we missed about that meeting? Okay, is there anything more? Because we only went, a certain length into it, last night on the video. Was there anything else we're missing here? So they told all the military guys there's going to be no woke in the military in the US. They told them that's off the table. They said a lot of things. Trump actually said he was 40. How did it go? 40. He was 45, 46, and 47. Yeah, he actually said that. And like, that was as plain as could be. We are getting huge truth bombs, just like I've been getting, we were going to get. That's a huge one. Think about that. Okay, so go back and watch the clips that are all floating around social media. on things he said, but those are just sound bites, and maybe they could have even been just generated. And there was way more going on to that meeting, and it looked like it was more about what I just talked about. But let's see if we missed anything. So something that's building, so a building situation, they know about it, they're preparing. This is a preparing card. These guys are preparing, building, getting ready for stockpiling stuff. Okay, so they're preparing something, and they know it'll be very disruptive. There's a lot of disruption in fives. It could even be connected to the war. Okay, so that's interesting. So there could also be some war stuff they were sorting out. We're in a third world. We're in the war. Okay, it's not like that a third world war is coming. We're in it. We've been in it for years. It's a spiritual information war. So it looks like some of the things they were sorting out were also, it looks like there might have been contention amongst the generals, and some of them may have been booted. Okay, I'm getting that. I think they were cleaning out the ones that are causing trouble. Some of them were causing trouble, and I feel like they were cleaning them out, sending them their packing papers. Like maybe they even made an example and did it right there on the spot. Because I believe a lot of what actually happened there, you didn't see it. You only saw the sound bites they wanted you to see. See that 7? And there's some kind of, they were checking the pulse of these guys to see who's in and who's not, and who's got their back for something coming. Okay, so that's what they were doing. It's almost like they were testing them. I feel like they were testing them. They probably asked them some questions, put them on the spot, and they needed to hear certain responses to know they could trust these guys, or see certain responses. Okay, so yeah, it looks like it was a big deal. That I don't think it was all fake and AI either, but I do think some of it we're not privy to. Like, I think there was way more things went down than what the little sound bites we saw. But it's hilarious because it made Q a real thing. Like, he must have said 17 so many times, Trump, and he really nodded a lot to Q, and yeah, just so many things. Yeah, you know that the White Hat Alliance exists when you hear stuff like what he was saying. It does make me happy. Okay, so did the U.S. government provide large sums of money to families that lost their loved ones in 9/11 as part of a cover-up? Okay, because of course anybody on this channel would know, and if you don't, okay, you better catch up, okay, on this, that 9/11 was done by the Bush family in cahoots with, I'm thinking, Israel, and or certainly it wasn't done by anybody they said it was done. It was an inside job, okay. Their own government at the time was completely beholden to likely Israel. And it was all orchestrated, like to look like it was somebody else, or they just spun it like it was, but it was absolutely not the case. So lost so many people, and yeah, it was just horrifying, all the things that happened and is still happening because of it. Okay, but families losing like loved ones, and did they pay them off because the government knew? They eventually this would all come out. Come on, they must have known. So they'd have to pay these guys off. So they'd probably feel sheepish to go, complaining about it years later if they got millions of dollars. So let's have a look. So that card reeks of huge cover up for sure. And we know it was, the whole thing was not a psyop, because it really did happen and the things went down, not the way they said they did. And it was more of what they call a false flag, where they put a different, like they pinned it on somebody else. It was carrying a different flag than it really was, right? So yeah, and they right away pinned it on, it was so obvious, they just spun it and buried all the evidence. And it was really, if they just even given it a couple of days, everyone would have seen what it really was. But they just worked so fast on spinning it, right? And then, of course, yeah, the media all said the same thing because they're all owned by, the deep state, or they were, but at that time anyway. So yeah, so they certainly did some of them. Okay, so they did. We've got the Three of Pentacles, which is like there was a big organized attempt to pay off families. I feel like, and it was all covered up. Okay, it was uncovered by the alliance though. So the alliance knows, they have the records, but they would have done it really undercover and sneaky. So I don't know how they'd call it and what those payouts would be, but it looks like, well, the alliance, we know they have advanced technology. They know what was paid to who. Okay, so that's good to know. And I feel like a lot of it, that information was used and will be used even in the future in people's tribunals. Okay, so I feel like that'll be used against those people that agreed to pay out families. We're the ones literally going over to the families' homes, and like even the low-lying fruit are going to get in trouble for that. Like, but of course, all the higher ups who sort of they gave the orders to do that. Okay, so absolutely, there was a big cover up, absolutely. And it feels like a lot went into it, but it was uncovered, like a lot went into it to cover it up. But I feel like it was uncovered by the alliance. So the alliance card's right in the middle of all of it. So it exposed it, at least to the White Hat Alliance. And then, they're the ones conducting those. I believe the military tribunals have been going on since 2017 is what I'm thinking. Okay, now I'm going to do one more. I didn't tell Coco about this one. It's just a quick, I'll just tell you something crazy happened this morning. So I got up super early. I couldn't sleep. I slept well for the first maybe 5 hours, and then I just couldn't sleep anymore. And it was about 4:30 a.m. here. It was pitch black still, and there was a deep fog on top of it being black. There was a fog as well. So sort of like blocked out the sky or stars or anything. And I was looking out in like the wilderness behind my place. And all of a sudden I heard what would have been maybe a city block away. No, less than that. Half a city block. So I'm just trying to think how to describe how far away it was. Wasn't very far, but it wasn't like right outside either. So a little ways down in the wilderness. Okay, but not so far that I couldn't clearly hear it. I heard some really big stomping, like some kind of creature was stomping around, but the stomping went from one sort of place to another, and sort of like it was like stomping back and forth, but the energy wasn't like it was stomping by and then you heard it go off in the distance. It wasn't like that. It was more like it was back there and just going back and forth. Okay, but it was stomping really loud in what would have been bushes, so it was making a lot of racket. And I was at first, okay, a bear, because there's bears here. Okay, could have been a bear, could have been, but it had a more supernatural feeling to it. Okay, my hairs were all standing up, and it didn't feel like a bear. And also, why would a bear go back and forth and not just leave or just stomp by? Right? Like there would be no reason for the stomping back and forth. So it didn't make sense, but it was at least as big as a bear because it was making that much noise and maybe more noise. Okay, so I was thinking, so there is some version of Bigfoot here. There's otherworldly, like this place, Haida Gwaii, look it up. It's the, misty Isles, it's spooky as hell here, okay, especially in the fall and winter. And it's fascinating and incredibly beautiful, but really, really spooky. And especially like this time of year with the weird fogs that'll roll in the morning, especially, and through the winter with the big storms. But it feels a lot like otherworldly creatures are everywhere out there in the wilderness. Okay. Yeah. At any given day. And a lot of the Haida work and art really depicts the sort of that spirit world that's very potent here. Okay, and not always good spirits, I'll tell you that. Some good, but more tricky ones and or even downright scary ones. Okay, so I'm going to say, what the hell was that? And I haven't asked the cards yet. I wanted to save it for you guys because I thought you'd find it interesting. What was that? Was it just an animal? Was I imagining it? Oh, and by the way, I told it, stop, right? I said, stop. And then it did stop for a minute. And then it went back to it, back and forth. And then I said, no, really loud, like really loud, projected my voice. And then it disappeared. I didn't even hear anything. Then it was all silent. So that was weird too. I thought that was weird. Let's have a look. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, and remember I told you there's a big weird family situation. Remember that really liberal friend? Okay, I even want to whisper it because it's like I don't want her to hear, but you know, she's next door. So anyway, she got a house right next door to me, and I was friends with her for years and years and years, but she's super like anti-Trump and all that. It feels like a walk in her energy, like ever since the full moon in Pisces, and just energies have exploded, and just feels like there's been a creature energy wreaking havoc and sometimes channeling through. Yeah, I'll just say it like that. Anyway, and it's just scary and unfortunate because it's creating a big issue and breaking up what was a beautiful scene, a kind of a community. But anyway, you know, I could be absolutely wrong about that, and it could be about something else totally, but this is what that's looking like there. That feels like, so it is a karmic connection to that friend. Okay, and but there's this is an anger, and like there's a lot of maybe it's a manifestation of the physical energy, like it, so it feels like a breaking up friendship, feels like a breaking up of community. And I feel like what I was hearing was a manifestation of anger that maybe wasn't held by the person anymore or anybody involved, but in fact held in nature, and it expressed itself. So I don't even think it was a creature per se. Okay, and that's interesting. And the moon here, so it was like definitely otherworldly, and maybe not like the energy projected the sound, but it wasn't a living creature. So more a spiritual energy embodied the anger of and frustration of a karmic situation, maybe between her and I. That's what that looks like. That's totally wild, by the way. Okay, but overseen by the spirit world to the good. So I really did feel like when I made those boundaries, so when I channeled through my highest intention and being, I chased it off. So that's what that feels like. And it's still maybe lingering around, but I feel if I stay in and put a lot of light around the place and be very intuitive and work intuitively to keep it really light energy wise and bring in the light here, I feel like we won't run into that energy again. So it feels like it was an embodiment of frustrated and angry energy, that it found a way to express itself, but wasn't a living creature that it was expressing through. So that's totally wild. And this place is that mystical that could facilitate something like that. Pretty wild. But I'm getting really good at boundaries for things like that. So I'll leave it at that, you guys, and sending everybody ravens and loving you. Take care, and yeah. Everybody be safe out there. Bye-bye. They just added the Beyond Crystals, Expanding Consciousness, Beyond Karma. That one's a really good one. That was just added. Just fantastic work here going on here by the Beyond Mystic crew. So make sure you're subscribed. Now, today, I'm going to look at something that's going on right now, even as we speak. It is the Burning Man Festival. Oh boy. Yeah. Now I looked at this a long time ago. I think Ashley and I on our deep dive Fridays, we deep dived on this. And it didn't it didn't fare well. The deep dive, it was looking pretty demonic. Okay. But I really want to look at it again. So they've experienced some really interesting weather in the last couple of years that it's been going on. And something I want to look at is the two founders. So we never looked at this before. Larry Harvey and Jerry James. Interesting names, but anyway, Larry Harvey and Jerry James. Okay, so they're supposedly the founders. They started this thing, just a small, where they burnt an image, like a straw man, I guess. And that's interesting, burning a straw man, that was interesting. But they did that in, I believe, was it Portland, Oregon, or was it in San Francisco? San Francisco, I think it was. Wait a sec. Evening of the summer of San Francisco. Yeah, on a beach. Okay, and just a small crowd. And then every year it turned into an annual event. Okay, so the attendees went within 4 years from like just a few to 800. Okay, so in 1990, in collaboration with, the Black Rock Desert, sort of interesting that the name is Black Rock Desert. They found this spot in the Black Rock Desert, okay, Nevada. And in collaboration with some other folks, they created what is now known as the Burning Man, okay? And then it just grew and grew and grew after that. And sort of the way they presented it was a counterculture, let me see what they said, 8-day counterculture event. And most people, like the end result of it, so the last day is the Burning Man. So they actually construct on the property, everybody involved, they construct a wooden and or various burnable materials figure of a man and or human. Okay, and then they burn it, which I find fascinating. Okay, so right away that just the word Black Rock in there, and the fact that they got it, that's where they ended up, in the Black Rock Desert. Okay, and then the fact that the whole thing is about as woke as, like, it would have been the granddaddy of woke, frankly, because when you look at the drug culture going on here, the LGBTQ are just flourishing in this 8-day. It's like Mad Max movie meets Pride Parade bumping into a big satanic ritual. Like, that's literally what it looks like. When you look around, it's got all of those elements, very satanic looking stuff, tons of drugs. It's like, I don't even know if you could enjoy yourself. Let me know in the comments if you've been to it and didn't do drugs. Okay, and the drug of choice would be Molly. I looked it up, Molly and ecstasy. Okay, they've got like a, what is that? Every kind of debauchery you can possibly imagine going on. I feel like a lot of people here put themselves in dangerous situations, sexual transmission, like disease transmission. I looked it up, all kinds of stuff going on here, but also death by overdose. So 147 deaths per 70,000 peoples. Okay, so they try to spin it. When you look up deaths, they try to break it down per 1,000 people. So about 4.5 deaths per 1,000, but there's 70,000 people attending this thing. So the numbers are more like 147 people a year die overdosing right in this spot here. And you can imagine how many sexual assaults are going on here, and or drug-induced non-consensual sex is going on, and all kinds of stuff. We got the orgy dome. Like, you're expected to be really into all of this stuff, or I wouldn't bother showing up here, right? It's honestly, it looks completely horrifying. Just going to the thing is about 10 or 15 lane experience, like ruining the desert, really. And the cleanup's got to be, takes weeks and weeks to clean this thing up. And you better believe the participants aren't cleaning it up. Okay. Like, can you imagine? And all of that. So you think it's just desert sand they're all driving on and then occupying. But there's a lot of like animal and insect being disturbed here, a lot of animal and insect life being disturbed here by these fools that go there for 8 days straight just to party hard and pretend they're having a spiritual experience. Just horrifying. But what I really want to ask about is this Larry Harvey guy and this Jerry James. I want to know if they were deep state and maybe even placed CIA to create this thing, where they maybe MK Ultra'd themselves. Was the original idea to turn into this big satanic ritual in the desert that involves that many people? Can you imagine how much dark energy that's bringing to the area or even the whole world? Okay. And we know these cult people's loves doing stuff like that, right? And these people unaware that they're doing it, these woke idiots pretending to be hippies going down there thinking they're like so cool. It's unbelievable to me. It's unbelievable that they'd even do that. But anyway, real spiritual experiences absolutely can be had, and maybe even using things like mushrooms that you would grow yourself. And pot may be grown yourself, and or various different things that ancient cultures used to open your mind, okay, but not in a big party fest atmosphere like this. It's to be done in a controlled environment, because otherwise it's literally just drug use, okay, and probably very abusive to your body and self. But there is ways to have spiritual experiences using things, but not like manufactured things like Molly and ecstasy, okay? Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Anyway, so you can be sure, though I think those drugs were created by the deep state dark cult, or certainly used by them, in my opinion, anyway. So let's have a look at these two fellows that originally started the thing. Okay, so you can look them up and have a look at what Wikipedia says about them. We don't really know about their history or where they came from, but this is what Wikipedia's, they look like just pretty great guys, actually, when you read about them. Were they? Maybe they just got taken over. Maybe their little festival had a good theme to it. Maybe it was even burning the straw man. And you guys know what I'm talking about, straw man accounts. But look that up. That's a whole nother rabbit hole I'm not going to talk about right now. But you go look that up for yourself. Maybe that's what it was all about. And it got hijacked by the deep state, turned into a big ritual. They don't look like they were bad guys, actually. They like to party, though. Okay, and I guess that's not such a bad thing, liking to party. Some people overuse. Okay, so then the problem with over partying is it leaves your body susceptible, like your aura gets holes in it with overuse of substances that are, toxic to your body, and the soul leaves the body, and you can be taken over by entities. Okay, but they didn't start out that way. This looks like by the 6th year, it was already, so they were looking at it by the 4th year, and by the 6th year, it was already taken over. These guys started out actually thinking they were doing good, and even trying to bring information out. So I wonder if their straw man or their original Burning Man was trying to get attention to something else altogether different, or calming something altogether different that was actually to the advantage of humans. But I feel like, in fact, it was taken over. And it keeps saying 6, so we got 6. So I'm thinking by the 6th year, it was taken over and turned into what it has become. Okay, a lot of people leave there and they're depressed, by the way, for days here. I just got this drop of information in my head when I looked at this. I feel like if you've been to Burning Man, let me know how you felt afterwards. I feel like with all of these things going on energetically, you end up, you could even spend months in a depression after. So that's really interesting. That could have something to do with the way it's all designed. Okay, so we've got the star and the 8. Now that's interesting too. The star and the 8. The star and the 8. Something's devoid of something. So devoid of. The star being vulnerability. So going in there, you have to really go in there. So the whole idea, and it makes sense, that people will argue that, yeah, you're going in there and you're completely opening yourself up to, whatever's happening in this 8 days. Okay. But I feel like, so the idea is to have this spiritual experience in the 8 days, but you're actually opening yourself up to whoever has now got their hands on the energies there. And it's not good. Okay. So you're leaving yourself totally open and vulnerable to whatever wants to come in there. Okay. So you think you're being so spiritually evolved doing that. But if you're not really prepared for and have really good boundaries with spirit entities, you're going to be intermixing with all kinds of, and whoever's idea the whole thing was set up for. So the whole thing is definitely risky to go to. You're making yourself extremely vulnerable, which is probably why you come out of there maybe really, really depressed and emotionally messed up. Oh, wow. Okay. So one more thing I want to ask about it. Is this thing going to continue? They've had some really bad storms. Like some people even think that maybe universal energy is, giving them a big clue that they need to shut this thing down. I mean, in 2023, the rain was unbelievable. They got washed out. And then this year it started out already with incredible dust storms. I guess their orgy tent got taken out on the first night. Oh no. You know what I mean? With the dust storm. Show us some videos of that, Coco. Let's have a look at the dust storm from this year, maybe, if you can find one of those. Yeah, let's play it. So I guess that'd be the orgy tent. Yeah. Yeah. Some people are saying, that's the wrath of God or the goddess shutting it down. Yeah, it's definitely looking interesting. Okay, so I want to see if are these guys going to continue to operate in the way they've been. So it looks like it's been a demonic worship. Like literally every single woke ideology all coming together in one place, and then add some Molly and ecstasy to that. Okay, and a bunch of fools thinking they're being spiritual and spiritually evolved, putting themselves in harm's way, opening up to all kinds of things. Let's have a look. So we've got the 7 of Swords there. So that's a strategy card. So there's a strategy here already in place to take these guys down at the knees here and change it completely. They might even change the whole concept. And so the concept could change entirely. So they still could have a gathering, but it's not going to be anything like what they've been doing. So a big yes on, yeah, they're going to be shut down and the concept will change. It's already creatively in the works to maybe invite people to a big ritual event, but it's not going to be a satanic ritual. We got the Tower here, so that's interesting. This is, by the way, a Trump in the white hat card. And it feels like people are the ones that are going to. So as people wake up to what's been going on, they're the ones that are going to shut down the satanic elements of this thing. It's not even going to be outside. It's going to be from people themselves. So maybe just by not going, or not the same kind of people going, or somehow it gets shut down from inside and not necessarily a government shutdown. Okay, so it's literally shut down. And I feel like we'll see even next year, if it's still going, and it could be in a smaller way going next year, but it feels like it gets a really big hit. And that could appear to be nature, but it could also be, like I said, some kind of big go down within the camp of it. Okay, where things get really exposed, because in the next year, so much exposure is going on that people aren't going to tolerate these kind of satanic rituals. It's the same as what goes on in concerts, big rock concerts and, I guess we can't just call them pop concerts that go on. They're literally turned into satanic rituals. And this thing's definitely turned into that. But it doesn't look like it lasts too much past next year, at least not in the form it is. Okay, so that's good news. And it looks like they're already working on, from within, taking down the satanic elements of it. So I'm glad to hear that, because we don't need that. Now, double your power sale. So this is going on at whose is this? This is Organites. Okay, so Ascension Organites. These are gorgeous, by the way. I got about 4 of them now. But anyway, she's got a really good double your power sale where it looks like you buy any beginner series pyramid for free. Wow, what? No, spend 100 or more and get any beginner series pyramid for free. So it sounds like you spend X amount of money, you get one for free. So that's a really good deal here. That's Ascension Organites. And the Starseed Crystal Collection. Okay, this is cool. So these are stones that are from outer space, known to be outer space stones. And they've got their hands on some, and you can get your hands on some. So that's the scorpelingshop.com. Check that out. Oh, amazing. Yeah, I could do a lot of damage on my bank account buying crystals myself. I'm a little bit of a crystal hoarder. The one thing I love the most is crystals and stones. Okay, so now we're going to do a little how to get through till the end of this month, okay? Honestly, August has been crazy. It started out where there was a lot of Trump hating and a lot of really strange mixed messages coming from the Trump team, to be honest. And I read them in the cards always as comms for something else. And it wasn't what he was literally saying wasn't exactly what he was meaning. You know what I mean? Which can be very confusing. So things got really confusing. But then by about the 19th, that sort of cleared up, and all of a sudden he was in our good books again with a whole series of things he's been up to. Let's have a look at going forward between now and the 31st of the month, so the end of this month. How is that going to look, and how do we get through it, in a sane way? Because it's been tough for the truther community, to be honest. Okay, so we've got Temperance. I love that card. That's a universal timing card. Sometimes it's hard to see this card come up because it means we have no control. Only the universe knows how things are going to go and when. Okay, so but if you respect and love, and have a good connection with your own soul essence, this isn't going to be such a hard pill to swallow. Let's say. Right? I respect and trust in universal timing. I don't trust in the plan. I trust in universal timing, that things happen and that the spirit world knows what it's doing, and we're all part of that, and things will happen when we need it to. And that card always reminds me that that's how it is. And here we've got the Queen of Swords. That's interesting. That's a really good boundary card going forward, and a very direct card. Good boundaries and directness, and also a knowing about universal timing, like trusting not the plan, maybe, okay, because that could feel like a bit of a sitting duck. But I feel more like, and some people love saying trust the plan. I like to say trust your own soul's knowing. And that card says that to me. And this card says, and going forward with directness, honesty, and good boundaries. Okay. Good boundaries. Discernment. She has a lot of discernment. She's well aspected with this card. Here's a patient and persevering card. We have definitely learned patience and perseverance in this community, if we've learned anything here. And here we've got, and it is tough. So this is in the right now, and this is the whole world right now. This is what's going on, even outside this community. Okay, so this is in the atmosphere. That's the atmosphere card. And that is talking about, it's been hard. It's hard on everybody. Like, things look really tough, you know, even though if you're in this community and understanding what a lot of the things we know are going on, and a lot of things we don't know, of course, but we do know that things are improving in a lot of areas. But if you're not in these kind of communities, understanding that kind of thing, it can look pretty dreary out there, honestly. If you're buying everything the mainstream's telling you, and buying all of these crazy psyops that are going on, you could be very confused and depressed right now. Here's the near future. Here we've got the Queen of Pentacles. Okay, that I was getting this in my daily, I had a daily look in my world news there on Wednesday morning. I did the world news, and it looked like by Friday, maybe Saturday, can't remember, or was it the last day I did it? Sunday, maybe the 31st, I believe. Okay, I think we get some kind of reprieve or reason to be happy. So just some kind of good news or glimpse at something good coming, and in particular financially, or at least down the road financially. We start to understand, a deeper level of what's going on the back channels, and it becomes obvious, even maybe to some of the regular folks that aren't watching videos like this, that things will improve, and in particular down the road for us financially, or our ability to financially create. So maybe that's where they really take out the Fed for real, and that could mean other of those organizations around the world coming down as well. I mean, maybe not the same week, but do you know what I mean? I think it all starts in the US and then goes out from there as far as that kind of action goes. Something's going to happen that even regular folks out there not watching videos like this notice. And we start to see, finally, things are coming out a little here where we can see where this is going financially, and eventually to our advantage, because right now it's not looking like that, as we've all seen. So sending ravens out to everybody, and keep your chin up, everybody. We're doing this together. We're in this together, and love ya.
Suốt 4 ngày trời, địa ngục như lâm vào bóng đen hắc ám vĩnh cửu. Giờ lại lần nữa xuất hiện niềm hạnh phúc của nàng. Nàng không muốn buông ra dù chỉ một khắc, nên dù có ngượng ngùng nhưng lại vẫn không quan tâm đến mấy cặp mắt hâm mộ và sự tồn tại của đám hạ nhân. Cứ rút vào lồng ngực của tướng công một cách nồng thắm, hưởng thụ sự chăm sóc của hắn, được hắn nhẹ nhàng xoa hai đầu gối đã tụ móng sưng đỏ. Đôi nhất tiên vui mừng như bướm vần hoa, đảo qua đảo lại quanh cả nhà. Vừa nãy lúc cả nhà ăn cơm cũng chỉ có nàng một bên líu díu không thôi, kể lại từng chuyện xảy ra trong nhà. Cả nhà đều có quá nhiều điều muốn nói, trăm mối tơ răng, lại không biết bắt đầu từ đâu. Cứ như vậy mà nhìn nhau, bỗng không biết nói gì với nhau. Có nghi vấn thì về sau có thể hỏi thêm. Hiện tại bọn họ chỉ muốn nhìn cho thật kỹ người thân của mình, thật kỹ, cảm nhận cảm giác dịu dàng ấm áp này. Qua một hồi lâu, vẫn là Hà Nấu Nương mở miệng trước, nói với Dương Lăng bằng giọng dịu dàng. Tướng công, con của chúng ta đã ngủ, thiếp ôm nó đến cho chàng xem. Đừng. Tay Dương Lăng nắm thật chặt, sợ nàng rời khỏi, ôm lấy nàng. Để tiểu tử đó ngủ trước đi, không cần nóng vội, dù sao thì nó cũng chưa nhận ra ta. Đường Nhất Tiên cười hì hì nói, hay cho một người làm cha, đại nhân khả ái vô cùng nhỉ. Dương Lăng nhướng mắt nói, không có quy củ gì cả, từ khả ái này có thể dùng để hình dung ta sao? Lần này, ngay cả Ngọc Đường Xuân và Tuyết Lý Mai cũng chen miệng cười. Tuyết Lý Mai nhanh mồm nhanh miệng nói, lão già, đại nhân là nói đại thiếu gia nhà chúng ta, không phải nói người. Ồ, Dương Lăng không phải bật cười, sao lại quên mất cái tên xui xẻo do chính Đức Hoàng đế đặt nhịp. Hắn cố ý nghiêm mặt, trừng mắt nhìn Hà Nấu Nương. Khả ái như còn có người nhẫn tâm vứt bỏ nó, muốn cho ta xuống dưới cửu thuyền. May mắn là ta sớm đã đoán được sẽ có người không nghe lời, mới ngựa không dừng vó chạy vội về kinh sư. Hà Nấu Nương cúi đầu yêu hứt nói, tướng công, người ta biết sai rồi. Bốp, một bàn tay đánh vào mông. Biết sai rồi, cũng vẫn chưa được. Ông đánh cho cái mông nhỏ của nàng đỏ như cái mông khỉ, tướng công không thể nào nguôi giận được. Trời ơi, muốn chết làm sao? Làm ngay trước mặt cả nhà, sau này thiếp còn mặt mũi nào nhìn người ta nữa. Hà Nấu Nương mặt đỏ như tấm vải son, hai tai nóng hừng hực, nàng ư một tiếng, bàn tay nhỏ bé nắm lấy vạt áo của Dương Lăng, vùi đầu vào lồng ngực của Dương Lăng, không dám lộ ra nhìn mặt người khác nữa. Lần này, Dương Lăng tìm đường sống trong cái chết, cùng với đại kiếp của hắn đã qua. Như lời của Trương Tiên Sư nói, về sau hắn có thể yên tâm mà ở cùng người thân. Tâm tình biến hóa phức tạp, cảm giác lẫn lộn, đến cả bản thân hắn cũng không nói rõ được. Trùng phùng sau cơn từ biệt với người nhà, loại cảm giác thân mật khắc khiếp này khiến hắn cũng không còn trói buộc. Chỉ có điều vừa quay đầu lại, nhìn thấy Đại Kiều cũng ở đó, liền đỏ mặt. Hắn nhìn Đường Nhất Tiên mặc một bộ áo bào trạng nguyên, vừa rồi chỉ nó cùng các nàng quấn quýt, không ngừng trả lời các nàng, ta chưa chết, ta còn sống rất là tốt. Lại quên hỏi đến cô nàng này. Lúc này hắn không phải cảm thấy kỳ quái nói, bộ mặc áo trạng nguyên làm gì vậy? Đường Nhất Tiên cười khanh khách che miệng nói, đón dâu cũng là làm trạng nguyên mà, nhưng mà hiện tại người chính chủ đã trở về, dường như không cần đến muội nữa. Trong tiếng Trung, tiểu đăng khoa có nghĩa là đón dâu, mà đăng khoa lại có nghĩa là thi đỗ đạt. Dương Lăng đảo mắt nhìn về phía Cao Văn Tâm. Cao Văn Tâm lập tức mất tự nhiên, vẻ mặt đỏ au, hai tay không biết nên đưa đi đâu. Chốc lát lại vây tà áo, chốc lát lại sờ lên ghế, ánh mắt căn bản không dám đối diện với hắn. Dương Lăng giật mình, ngây ngốc nhìn nàng một hồi lâu, trong lòng chỉ cảm động. Cao Văn Tâm, một vị cô nương tốt, bất kể mình sống hay chết, nàng đều thực hiện lời hứa yêu đương với mình. Hiện tại tâm bệnh duy nhất trong lòng đã mất, vậy sao nhất định phải đối xử tốt với người hồng nhan tri kỷ này để bù đắp cho tấm thâm tình như biển lớn của nàng dành cho mình. Ánh mắt ướt át của hắn rất lâu sau mất đi, sau đó lại nhẹ nhàng cười lên, nhẹ nhàng nói, Văn Tâm. Cao Văn Tâm nghe hắn gọi mình ngẩng đầu theo bản năng, nhìn hắn một cái lại cuống quýt đưa ánh mắt đi nơi khác. Hình như chuyện lúc trước chúng ta có đánh cược, không giống với cách cô nương làm hôm nay phải không? Cao Văn Tâm mặt lập tức đỏ như quả lựu, cúi đầu lý nhí nửa ngày trời, bỗng nhiên nàng ngẩng đầu nhìn thẳng vào hắn, dũng cảm mà nói, không phải ngài đã trở về rồi sao? Cho nên thiếp không có làm sai. Trong mắt của Đường Nhất Tiên xoay tít, chẳng những Tuyết Lý Mai, Ngọc Đường Xuân mà ngay cả Hà Nấu Nương trong lồng ngực cũng dựng tay lên. Các nàng ngửi đường mùi hương của âm mưu đâu đây? Nữ nhân, mà kệ là nữ nhân thế nào, hiếu kỳ, chung quy vẫn là tính cách của các nàng. Lúc nữ hòa tạo người thì đã đặt một dấu ấn bát quái vào người các nàng. Không hỏi ra được gì từ miệng của Dương Lăng, ba người với lấy Cao Văn Tâm đáng thương vào giữa, bắt đầu bức cung. Nhân lúc ba nữ nhân trợn tròn mắt truy hỏi Cao Văn Tâm rằng hai người đã đánh cuộc cái gì, Dương Lăng lặng lẽ kéo tay Ấu Nương quay về tổ của mình. Vẫn là bộ y phục gió bụi dặm trường đó, chưa kịp thay ra nên trở về phòng ngủ. Vũ Em đã lui ra ngoài, hai vợ chồng ngồi xổm bên cạnh chiếc nôi của trẻ con, tay nắm lấy bàn tay nhỏ nhắn, cách một tay vịn, nhìn tiểu bảo bối đang ngủ bên trong một cách ngọt ngào. Lúc bây giờ vẫn chưa có tập quán làm giường củi. Cái này là thứ Dương Lăng từng nói với Ấu Nương lúc sắp rời kinh, còn treo ở trên mấy cái chuông cùng với đồ chơi. Lúc đứa bé chào đời, mấy thứ này đã chuẩn bị xong xuôi, đặt trong phòng ngủ. Đã hơn 2 tháng, một tên tiểu tử mập mạp, hai má phúng phính, đôi chân ngắn nhỏ nhắn, rắn chắc, to như củ sen, nghịch ngợm đạp tung chân, cái tã cũng bị ngã văng theo. Nữ nhân là họa thủy, nam nhân là họa căn. Tiểu Bảo Bảo để lộ ra chút chim nhỏ khiến những kẻ như là Lưu Cần nhìn thấy nhất định sẽ vừa ghen ghét vừa ao ước. Ấu Nương sợ cậu cảm lạnh vội lại đắp chăn cho. Dương Lăng nhẹ nhàng ngăn lại, vừa dùng bàn tay ấm áp của hắn khẽ vuốt lên đôi chân rắn chắc bóng loáng của đứa bé, vừa dịu dàng nói: lúc không có việc gì, vuốt ve cơ thể nhiều hơn thì cục cưng sẽ cảm thấy rất là thoải mái, còn có thể làm tăng tình cảm mẹ con nữa. Hàn Ấu Nương tôn kính nhìn hắn nói: tướng công quả thật là hiểu rộng. Còn phải nói, ta còn từng kiêm nhiệm chức chủ tịch công hội 2 tháng kia mà. Dương Lăng thầm nói trong bụng một câu. Đứa bé ôm đầu ngủ say, khi phát hiện cậu ngủ rất ngoan, hơn nữa cũng không cào mặt, Ấu Nương liền buông tay chân của cậu ra. Lúc không ngủ nữa thì buộc cậu lại thẳng tắp. Người làm mẹ thật không nhẫn tâm. Xem ra cách mà mấy bà tím trong thôn nói cũng không phù hợp dùng cho từng đứa trẻ khác nhau. Đứa bé đã thức dậy, mở to đôi mắt long lanh nhưng lại không khóc. Mặt mũi ngũ quan của cậu rất là đẹp, ngũ quan trông giống Ấu Nương nhiều hơn. Làn da cũng giống mẹ, mang theo chút ngăm đen khỏe mạnh. Con trai giống mẹ quả thật không nói ngoa. Vì lúc nhỏ Ấu Nương có luyện võ, cơ thể rắn chắc, lại có vị nữ thần Y Ca Văn Tân kia tỉ mỉ chăm sóc, nên cơ thể của cậu rắn chắc hơn nhiều so với những đứa trẻ 2 tháng cùng đứa khác. Ánh mắt sáng long lanh của cục cưng không biết đang nhìn cái gì, không xác định mục tiêu, đôi mi nhỏ nhíu lại, môi chu ra thổi ra một chút bong bóng nước bọt. Vẫn đang cố gắng làm thêm với bộ dáng dường như đang trầm tư. Dương Lăng không khỏi khen: vậy mới được, con trai ta có khí chất của triết học gia. Dương Lăng vừa khen xong, tiểu tử kia đã cử động, chân đá loạn 2 cái, một cái đạp lên thành giường cũi, chân đạp rất có lực, cơ thể lên nghiêng qua. Chú chim nhỏ run run, một dòng nước tiểu đồng từ lại khéo léo bắn qua kẽ hở của cái giường cũi, văng lên mặt của Dương Lăng. Rất tốt, mạnh mẽ, một giọt cũng không lãng phí, trên giường không ngờ lại không dính một giọt. Tiểu tử xả xong nước tiểu, mừng rỡ đạp đôi chân nhỏ giống như củ sen, đi bộ 2 tiếng, ở một cách lười biếng. Hàn Ấu Nương che miệng cười khanh khách, đứng dậy đắp chăn cho con trai. Dương Lăng trợn mắt há hốc mồm một lúc lâu, ngồi xổm chân đất. Một lúc lâu sau hắn mới lau mặt nói: Dương đại nhân, ngài tiểu tử ngài cũng là quá ngang bướng rồi, đây là đón gió tẩy trần cho trai ngài đấy hả? Đúng lúc này, ngoài cửa có một chàng tiếng bước chân rầm rập, giọng nói của Hàn Uy gấp gáp vọng vào: bội phu, trong kinh thành đã xảy ra chuyện lớn. Dương Lăng giật mình vội vàng đứng dậy. Dọc đường hắn nghĩ phải nhanh chóng về nhà, trong nhà ngàn vạn lần đừng xảy ra chuyện lớn gì. Thế trong nhà cũng không có chuyện gì, hắn mới yên lòng, cũng nghĩ phải lập tức vào kinh gặp hoàng thượng. Đến uy quốc công hoàng thượng cũng đã phong rồi, không thể ở nhà già chết. Chỉ là do trong nhà rối rắm phức tạp. Trên thực tế hiện tại hắn đã về đến nhà, tổng cộng vẫn chưa đến 1 canh giờ.